Please welcome the incredible Heather Chauvin.
Hello. I'm so excited, Renee. Thanks for having me.
You look stunning. The hair, the background, your setup, your whole scene. It's incredible. It's
I'm
like
stepping into my rich girl energy.
Yeah, you look like you've gone pro.
Thank you. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. What? No.
It's emotionally uncomfortable. It's a stretch. It's outside my comfort zone. It's not new. I'd rather wear a hoodie.
Yeah.
No bra.
And a hat. No bra. You could not be wearing one right now. No one would know.
Exactly.
I am.
Joy of.
I am. I know. I think it was, you posted something on a story today saying that you hate how much time it takes to get ready.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I'd rather just put on some sweats and a baseball cap. But I will say I created a whole ritual around getting ready. And it actually becomes the time of day. There's only 2 times a day, the morning and the evening, when it's my alone time. My boys are not allowed to bug me. No one's allowed to bug me. And I put on music or a podcast and I get ready. And sometimes I don't listen to anything. And I do meditation as I'm doing my hair and my makeup. Yeah. And it's like my space.
I also find that it's like a workout. It's like anything else. Like you don't want to do it, but what's the bigger why behind it? And I'm like, oh, no big deal. But I saw you post something yesterday, something about visibility. Yeah. And I'm like, this is not just about getting ready for the day. This is about respecting myself a little bit more. And it's so easy to not do the damn thing. So to me, it has to be more of like, it's like a workout. And if I have, once I'm ready, I'm golden. I get all my content done. I feel so much more alive and energized. It's just getting over that little hump. And it's like, why do we do these things to ourselves? We're just sitting there on the struggle bus being like, poor me, kind of acting like a little bit of a victim. And then it's like you rip the Band-Aid off, you do the damn thing. So that's difficult for me. And for other people, it might be sending the email or sending an audio note or doing something else.
Doing a live. I feel like the days that I know I have to get ready, it's like I stacked the day for that readiness.
Yes.
Like I need everybody to see me wearing makeup today. So 100%. Who are we meeting? Who are we going live with?
Yeah. It's like we were going out for dinner. We're going live. We're like, look at me. I did it. I'm so proud of myself.
Oh my gosh. I love it. But you look beautiful anyway.
Thank you.
Okay. So we got some like really cool things we're talking about. First of all, celebrating our friendship. I first tuned into you. Oh my gosh. Like when your podcast was just taking off. When was that? Like when did you launch it?
Honestly, like 10 years ago.
Wow.
I don't know offhand the exact how long I've been doing it. I know it was post cancer and that was 2013. And I remember I had a business coach at the time and I was doing like email marketing and all the things. And I said, I really feel drawn to podcasting. And she's like, that's an advanced strategy and you're not there yet. And I'm like, well, I feel really drawn to it. I'm a verbal processor. I want to just like talk my shit out. And I used to talk to myself in the dark all the time. I'm sure you've heard my episodes where I was walking down the street, literally voice memo or voice notes on my phone, no headphones, sometimes headphones, or sitting in the car. I used to run outside, leave my kids all the time and be like, I need to get a podcast. Oh, and I'd have a topic and I would just hit voice memos. And most of the time I would just upload it right from the app or email it to myself and upload it. No editing, crazy. Nothing.
I know, because I remember one time you were walking your dog and the sound of like the cars going past on the street was just as loud as you were. I was like squinting to hear you better. Yeah. But the content was like what I needed. Yeah. And now you're more pro.
Well, the funny thing is sometimes I'll do like once a month or so, I'll do a life update where I get really good feedback. People love it because it's behind the scenes. Most of the time I'm walking outside. Like I try to stay away from traffic and they're like, I really like that. It's like a little diary. And I'm like, I think there's this mix, right? People say they like the pro, but I also think in modern day, they're like, everything's so polished. It's so like 5 easy steps too. And then we're like, what's wrong with me? This is not easy for me. And I'm like, we can just be messy. And often, like what you said, you're like, it was the wisdom I was attracted to. It was your words that I was attracted to. It wasn't the quality of your audio. And you and I both know people that have like exceptional production quality. And you're like, I can't listen to this. This is vanilla.
Yeah, we love the raw stuff. We do a mix of both. Here, like on my solo episodes, it's always lessons baked into stories. Yeah. Like I can't teach on a thing I haven't experienced myself. It just doesn't 100%. Feel authentic to me. And that's what you're all about. Authentic, aliveness. Yeah. I feel like I've never really heard that word before. And that's what you're doing these days.
You've never heard the word aliveness?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
But when you said it the first time, I mean, possibly I've heard it before and possibly even used it. But I was like, that's interesting. It's new. It's new to me.
So, you know what I find interesting? I like to be a little bit of a rebel. Don't know if you've figured that out yet. Yeah. I like to take things and then go, I got to make it my own. Like when things become trendy, nervous system regulation or whatever people are saying, I'm like, I'm over that. Like it becomes a thing where you get so disconnected from the reality of what is. And like aliveness to me is what I truly think we are all after. And if you think about like doing purpose-driven work or making an impact and mission-driven, legacy, abundance, calm, peace, presence, whatever the hell it is, if you get radically honest with yourself, you want to feel alive. And when I wrote my book, Dying to Be a Good Mother, the little one right here on my finger, the whole like premise was that I know this, I'm not alone in this. I was dying to be good for the world. And I had a moment years ago where I asked myself, how do you want to feel, Heather? If you don't want to feel dead inside, how do you want to feel? And I'm like, alive. I want to feel alive. Okay, great. And then I panicked because I had no idea or evidence what aliveness felt like. And to me, that was the journey of like what I call the breadcrumb of like, what is that? And I had to figure out like, how would I show up? What is that identity? And I truly believe, especially women, whether it's at home in your parenting or your bank account or in your work or relationships, you're craving a feeling. And that feeling is like, if you know, it's like, if you know you want something, I'm not the one that said this, but if the desire's inside of you, the desire's for you. And if I desire to feel alive, then who is she? And that's the magic of like creativity and connection. I get to become her and I have to go on that journey. And that's absolutely terrifying and emotionally uncomfortable. And so for me, I'm always on this hunt of like, what does aliveness look like? What does it feel like? What does that mean in my everyday definition of success?
Interesting. So I think this is all connected to women choosing themselves first, because you had to be able to make that decision. Why do you think it's so hard for women to become alive and feel that aliveness? Why aren't they choosing themselves first?
I mean, we're literally hardwired to nurture, to grow, to be, and we put everybody else around us on a pedestal. Like we are the quote unquote coaches for people. We're always like nurturing and be like, you got this, you got this. And whether it's cultural, whether it's like oppression, I just truly believe, as we all can see, and I tell people this all the time, a woman the other day said to me, something about feeling selfish, right? Like we are like, I feel selfish. She said, how do you get over the feeling of selfishness or other people not saying that you were selfish for considering your needs? And I was like, just stop for a moment. I want you to intuitively, like use your intuition, your critical thinking skills. I want you to ask yourself, is me nurturing myself actually selfish? And like, ask yourself that. She's like, I don't know. And I'm like, think about it. And having like stopping and thinking and going, this doesn't make sense to me. What I was actually trying to get her to do is like, whose narrative are you buying into? Like, what story are you grabbing onto and using that as your identity? Like, you're literally saying, I am selfish by doing XYZ. Well, I don't know about you, Renee, but I'm sure you know women in your life that after a while feel like a burden because they refuse to take care of themselves. And my mother lives with us, and 1000%. There is some burden energy. I'm an only child as well. And I'm like, I don't want to be that. And she will say, I don't want, oh, no, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, the fact that you refuse to consider your needs, you can't even see that you are becoming a burden. I don't flat out say that to her, but I can intellectualize that.
I'll tag her in this.
What'd you say?
I said I'll tag her when we promote this.
100%. I do have these conversations with her, but I try to say it in different language because she's not as open. And I think it's generational as well. But it's like, look at other people and go, if it's a heavy energy dropping in on you and you're like, why is that? It's because the person they're so codependent. And I think women are in some way ragingly codependent on others, not just the opposite gender or sex. It's like we feed and see our value from being of service and nurturing others. And then one day something cracks and you look in the mirror and go, who am I? What do I want? And I just truly believe the more alive you are, that is what the world needs from you. Those are the secrets. Pouring into yourself is the most unselfish thing you can do.
The rich girl energy model talks about this in like one of the phases where the question is, if we stripped away your roles, your titles, the things that you do, who are you really underneath it all? And that's the aliveness. This morning, I just dropped my parents off at the airport. They were here for 2 weeks. My sister and her kids are visiting right before they arrived. And right before them, it was my nieces. And we just got back from 2 weeks in Italy. So it's literally been back to back to back all summer. And the boys started homeschooling. So there's a lot. And my nervous system is like, it's done. It's depleted. I had 4 recordings yesterday. I have 5 today and coaching and all this stuff. So this morning, I'm just like, I know what's required of me, but no one else knows my schedule. It's taxing. So I finally this morning took Dan aside, my husband, and I was like, hey, babe, my nervous system, done, tapped out. I'm at capacity. Tonight, I see that Noah has soccer practice. And typically one person drops him off, the other picks him up. And I'd said, could you do me one and just do the whole thing tonight? I'm going to have a bath and go to bed. I need this rest. And he said, absolutely. Because I asked. That was it. I didn't demand. I didn't feel resentment. I didn't throw shit around the kitchen. It was like, this is how I feel and this is what I need. And when I presented that to him, I already knew he'd say yes. I already knew he would. But it was fair to present him the situation. And I think that's aliveness, right? Knowing what I need.
And also, I'm a huge fan of contrast. So if you're like, not this, I don't want this again. I don't want to experience this again. Or it doesn't have to be this way. So how can we do things differently? There's been many, many times in my personal and professional life where I'm like, Heather, write this down. Write this down of not this, not this. I tell people all the time, write out what's working, what's not working. There's a difference between having to push or put in the reps or like show up. I call it emotional grit, but we don't need to like burn out. And when you can like intuitively feel that of, okay, I'm going to push for one day and that's 1 to 2 days max. And then I'm in flow, I'm in rest. And it's like, what are the needle moving actions that I need to take for those 2 days or that one day, that little push? And then it's like, I don't know, I've been sitting with this concept lately. I don't identify as like a sports athlete, But I'm like, I'm a life athlete. But if you are an athlete, you have to recover. And also, going back in 2013, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer. And I don't want to say convinced, but I watch my nervous system and my adrenals. And when I push too much, they feel fried. And I have had to learn to advocate for myself, because it's not about not doing anything. It's about this, like, the way you do it. And so a perfect example is I had a conversation with somebody last week, and I would say this person was very unregulated. And I watched how they affected my nervous system. And I was like, oh, I don't want this energy in my life. Like, I don't want to be around this. So what boundaries do I need to put into place? But also, if I did that to everyone, I would not interact with any humans. So how do I want to feel? How do I begin to reverse engineer that? And just having the awareness that I don't need to feel maxed all the time. I actually deserve to feel alive, to feel like in alignment with how I want to feel. And with this individual, it wasn't necessarily that I needed to cut them out. I needed to have a really, really emotionally uncomfortable conversation to hold the boundary of what I was willing to receive and what I was not willing to receive. And so I often find people like look at, I call it energetic time management, but they look at the actions they're taking. They're like, I can't get things done. But I'm like, look at the energy of how things make you feel and then course correct. And it's not always of like all or nothing. It's who do I need to become to feel most like myself in this relationship with these other humans, or so whatever it is.
Talking about boundaries too, because it's such a like buzzword essentially these past few years. Like, what's a boundary? A boundary. How does that translate into aliveness? And what's the importance of boundaries? What do they look like? What is a good boundary?
Yeah. Well, the definition of a good boundary is what works for you. Boundaries are so uncomfortable to implement. People don't even realize that they don't have boundaries. I always tell people there's 4 types of boundaries. I mean, you could make it a 5th boundary: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual boundaries. You can even include financial boundaries. When I started this process of learning how to reverse engineer how I wanted to feel, I realized there was 4 types of energy, but I'm starting to categorize money as energy as well. And then I realized all boundaries are not just physical boundaries. It could be mental or emotional boundaries. So example, when I say mental energy, I just label that as like stories. So mentally, or mental load, or whatever you want it to be. But if mentally I'm telling myself a story of like, I don't have time, I can't do this, I'm not qualified, I'm not worthy of it, I don't know, I don't know where to find these people, I don't know what to do, I will hold a mental boundary with myself and go, okay, you can ruminate in this for 5 minutes, Heather. Once that timer goes off, you're done. And then you need to start acting as if you do know, or you do have time. How would you do things differently? Emotionally, the same thing. I feel like there's a spectrum where people are either feeling and ruminating and overfeeling, or they're completely underfeeling and suppressing. And then that turns into resentment and anger and overwhelm, or it comes out sideways. And I'm like, how can we find the middle where I could, and I'm just going to use anger or overwhelm or guilt. And I'm feeling it. And it's like, oh my God, I feel so guilty. And I'm ruminating in the guilt. It's completely distracting me from my dreams, my desires, my goals. I see people do this all the time. They're like, oh, I can't do that. Like, my children are in my ecosystem. And I'm like, you're telling me you can't like consider your needs? It's like all or nothing. I'm like, okay, something's going to crack. And one day you're going to wake up and be like, wow, I was living a lie. And so I will hold those boundaries. I will ruminate in it. I'll think about it. I'll feel it. But I think it's really, really good to listen to those parts of ourselves. Like, why am I so angry? I do a lot of like intuitive energy stuff as well. And I get people to like talk to their anger, talk to their feelings. And then I'm like, okay, great. Your anger told you that you need to do XYZ. So you know what action you need to take now. Now you have to have a boundary and shift into courage and then start leading from that energy. So boundaries are not always just like physical boundaries. It's also like the intuitive, invisible ones that nobody can see.
What about even the boundary and how we speak to ourselves?
100%.
Like that to me is probably the most draining is how I speak to myself.
Yeah.
And I ruminate. And then I just think of worst case scenarios. Like I have these like stupid stories that just hang over my head. Like one, get this, you'll laugh. Max, my oldest, is growing like a foot a day, it seems. Mm-hmm. And we are snowboarding in Japan in 3 months, 3.5 months. We can't pack his snow gear because we're going to be going to warm climates before that. And so we're going to be shipping stuff. I don't know how big he's going to be then. And in my mind, Japan doesn't sell stuff tall enough for somebody as tall as Max.
Yep.
That's the stupid story I keep telling myself. And I'm like, this is a logistics things that I don't even have to worry about. We have people on the team that are managing this. Yep. This is an example. How would someone like me with a story like this, so silly, set the boundary for myself to say, that is, you're done, Renee. Stop talking to yourself like that.
Honestly, like just in this moment when you're saying something like that, yeah, okay, I'm done entertaining this. And then I would have a process. And your process would be you'd have your go-to person, which would probably be your logistics person. And if someone didn't have that person, it's like a friend where it's like, can I just tell you a story that I'm telling myself? And then like either help me see what I can't see, and just having that boundary with yourself. And I think oftentimes people will go, okay, I'm done ruminating in this and telling myself the story, but then they still self-isolate and they don't ask for help. I see it with clients all the time. I'm like, how can I be of service? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, listen, if you don't know, I don't know. I can see your future. I can see possibilities, but I can't make you do anything that you're not willing to do or show up for. And they'll go down like the shame spiral or like overwhelm. They're like, I just shut down. And I'm like, okay, great. But you also have to become self-aware enough to go, every time X happens, I fall down this like rabbit hole. How long do you want to be there? Because there's no quick fix to get out of it. Sometimes, like I've had these moments so many times, and some people would call them like a rock bottom, but we're like, I physically can't get out of bed. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm fried, or I'm fatigued, or I'm this, or I'm that. And then I'm always trying to go, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And I'm like, what if there's nothing wrong with you? You just need to get up and start moving. And maybe that's what you need to start. Maybe there is something deeper there, but like, how long do you want to stay here for? Yeah. And it's like, these little micro boundaries that we need to have with ourselves. I like to use the term, how can I? Or like stepping into curiosity and possibility. But yeah, it's so emotionally and energetically draining, and it's incredibly invisible because unless you let it out, nobody knows what you're thinking or what's happening or what's sucking the life out of you.
And that's what I discovered, is that sometimes that I'll ruminate so much about a thing that I've been sitting with myself with the story that I feel like I've shared it with somebody. Yeah. And it turns out I didn't. So it's kind of like I look at these situations like a pressure cooker, right? It's just building up steam until finally you just hit the release valve and all the steam comes out and all the pressure is released. Yeah. Like talk therapy is so massive. So you helped me answer my question about Max and his snow gear. The simple solution is, because once you like write it out or delegate it, that energy is really off your plate. It's out of your world. All you got to do is send a Voxer to our house manager saying, hey, can you make sure Max has snow gear that fits him on this date in Japan? That's all I have to do. And she will find it, source it, ship it. Right?
Exactly.
So easy.
Simple.
So easy.
Set it and forget it. You're like a rotisserie chicken.
So there's a lot of women that have like this facade of having their crap together.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like they're living. They live in their lives. They have this like potentially this joie de vivre on the outside, but the inside they're probably just they're melting. Yeah. What is the difference between living and feeling alive?
I want to say the actual privilege of this is that I see behind the scenes of a lot of these people's lives. And I believe all humans have the same fears, the same similar desires, except some have like way more expensive clothes, more makeup, better, prettier things. But when we take the masks off and the performance off, and we don't hide behind the bank account, we don't hide behind the labels, we see that we're all the same. And sometimes I see that it's really difficult for people to like let the guard down just because we've been so hurt, right? Or we're protecting ourselves. I don't even remember what your original question was, but go ahead. What was I'm like, what the hell is your question?
Feeling alive or living? Like we're living. People are living, but feeling alive. How are they related?
I don't actually, I'm like, if somebody says to me, here's the thing, if I find it so incredibly difficult to connect with the average person because I feel dead inside when someone wants to talk to me about something that like I like deep intellectual soul-led conversations, and I love talking about business and entrepreneurship and all the things. But when someone's like, oh, they want to connect with me through like a little trauma bond or like, you know, all the woes of the world. And I'm like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And what is inside of you? Like, I don't care about the things. We have to ask ourselves, what does living feel like? What does aliveness feel like? So let me pull back the curtains and kind of give you perspective. In 2013, when I was diagnosed with cancer, and I was like, shit, I might actually die, and this could actually become true. I remember the moment when I decided to check the invisible suffering box. I was actively seeking mentorship from women before that, 9 years before that. And I went to the women that I perceived as successful, who had money, who had nice clothes, who had the jobs. And here I am as like the teen young mom. And I'm like, okay, these women know what success is. And the feedback, the overwhelming feedback that I would chronically get is suck it up, buttercup. You need to be chronically fatigued. You need to feel like shit. The older you get, the worse it gets. And you just got to hang on for dear life and raw dog it and figure it out as you go. And I'm like, yes, and because there was a part of me deep inside that was like, I am not going to survive if this is the way I have to do it. And I truly believe the reason why I felt that way, and people would call me sensitive, but it's because it's the shadow side of being gifted in the sense of like, you can feel all the things in the world, but the reality is you also have access to the complete opposite of that. And you can go through life and check the boxes. But if you were like, why am I working so hard when I'm not actually after what I think I'm after? And you know Danielle Laporte, I'm a huge fan of her work. And when I was diagnosed, I remember her book, Desire Map, came out, and she would say, it's not the thing you want, it's the feeling.
Yeah.
And I had to figure out how to gain access to a feeling because I knew, yes, logically, I need more money. Logically, I need a safe place to live. And I also need to figure out how to feel a certain way because you're going to achieve that goal and you're not going to feel that way. And you have to be able to ask yourself to slow down and say, is this in alignment for me? And even that question alone can be incredibly triggering for people because they're left with, I don't know. Or then I have to take ownership and responsibility and I have to take action and I have to have a really uncomfortable conversation with someone and say, this is no longer working for me. And so I think with the aliveness also comes taking radical responsibility for your outcome and the life that you want. And to me as an individual, I want to live this one precious life. I want my quote unquote asset of time to be well invested so that if and when, well, I'm going to die, when I die, I can be incredibly proud of the life that I lived. And my why is for my kids. And so I know that I just want to make them proud of, like, you know what? She showed me by her actions what it looks like for a woman to live a proud life, what it looks like for a woman to use her voice to speak her truth, what it looks like for somebody to say, I don't have the capacity for that. Can you do soccer tonight? And instead of this chronic give, and then being angry, resentful, and depleted, and then wondering why people don't respect us. It's because we're not respecting ourselves.
Oh, and they see that and they feel that too.
Yeah.
Okay, this got me thinking the difference between, this is hard to ask, but when you think about the need to hustle an entrepreneur, and I hate the word hustle, but there are seasons when it's like it's a grind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're launching now, so it's a grind. And that's exhausting because there's a lot on the go versus that similar body feeling of being misaligned with the work that you're doing. How do you discern between the two?
Okay, so even the way you presented that, I'm not going to say triggered me, but I was like, no. As you know, like delegation is an amazing thing. And I'm like, how do I want to feel? I find it as intentional focus and effort. You have like focus seasons. And here's the funny thing about this. So I talk about managing the 5 types of energy. Physically, I wouldn't have had the capacity to do this 1 to 2 years ago. My guts were all messed up. There were some big things going on with my oldest son, and it was stressing me out. And then my body started to react. And I remember the brain fog that I had, and I had little to no mental capacity. When you're in a season like that and you need to focus and your brain can't focus, it feels like a hustle. It feels like a grind. So after that, I'm like, how do I want to feel? What is the energy that I need? How can I buy back more energy? So I'm like, get your shit together, work on your physical health, get your mental health together, get your emotional well-being. Great. And my philosophy is how little can I do and who do I need to be? So when I'm looking, and I can have one person on my team and I'm like, okay, you are now my client. You are the person that I'm going to train, but I'm really about intentional focus or sprints or pushes. And it doesn't have to be an identity or a lifestyle. And what I think people do is they just keep not throwing noodles at the wall, but they keep adding to the to-do list and being like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like, yeah, I'm being productive. I'm getting so much done equals success equals more. And they don't ever stop and say, is this actually in alignment with how I want to feel? So I do that a lot. I use a journal prompt. Wouldn't it be nice if?
You had me do this.
Pardon?
You had me do this in Mexico. I feel like I have it in these notes.
Yes. And I use it almost on a daily basis. I do it for macro, like big life stuff. I use it for micro. I'll use it for team members. I use it all the time because it allows me to tap into what is alignment for me. Because you asked, how do you know when you're out of alignment? So if something is in alignment, wouldn't it be nice if I could do this? Wouldn't it be nice if I didn't have to like push and grind? Wouldn't it be nice if I was on this podcast, like it could be big things and they could be little things. Wouldn't it be nice if I didn't have to think about dinner? All these things, they're in you. It's desires. And then I just look at that. That is alignment. Those are my goals, whether it's not thinking about dinner or it's this big, quote unquote, intentional push. And so if that is inside of me, that is alignment. And then my goal is to take action to lean into that. And I always tell people, you do not need to go looking for your blocks or sabotage. It's going to come up the second it just literally comes up and out. It will detox through you. The second you start taking action towards those aligned goals. And the interesting part about that when it comes to resistance and emotion and all the things is sometimes it gets bigger. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you get closer. And once you understand the game of achieving a desired outcome, you keep playing it at the next level, next level, next level. So I look at my list, I look at my wouldn't it be nice list, and I am now at the point where I believe that what is ever on that list, I am worthy of going after, but not even worthy. That is the path of like freedom and ease. And if it is on that list, it's like, boom, that is purpose. And not that that is my purpose, but that is living a life on purpose, which to me is alignment.
Ooh, okay. So that probably answers the question about living versus feeling alive.
Yeah.
See, living to me, yeah.
Go ahead.
Living to me is like you and I everybody's living, right?
Mm-hmm.
But feeling alive.
Yeah.
Feeling alive is like, and even in the work and the tasks that you don't necessarily want to do, but have to do, we always have to do something in business we don't like. It's in the knowing that it has to be done. And you'll get through it.
Yeah. And I think living, based on what you just said, is like existing.
Yeah.
Like you're just like existing. You're like, yeah, I'm here. And it's like, then make it good. Make it great. Get the cherry on top. And like, there's so much. I hate sitting at my computer doing tasks. I enjoy having conversations with people, but I hate sitting in a sauna and getting shit done. And so sometimes, sure, I can batch it, I can do whatever. But what I notice is the more full I feel, it's easier to get those things done or whatever I would distract myself with because I don't want to sit down and do it. I will now like co-create with my brain. How are you going to get it done? And I will show up for somebody else way more than I'll show up for myself. So I started like hiring people for $10. I have a gentleman on my team that hangs out and co-works with me for $10 an hour so that I can get these tasks done. And I'm just like hang out with them, talk to them, get shit done. We co-create together. And that makes me feel more alive, more in alignment with how I want to feel than just sitting at a computer for hours on end. Yeah. So yeah, you got to play tricks on yourself, on your brain sometimes.
Yeah. I love the working meetings. My assistant and I have that every Monday and Thursday. Yeah. We have an hour block, which is like to review the stuff, but it ends up being like, what's on your to-do list? Can we cross most of the stuff off now on this call? Not like I'll get this after we hang up. It's like, I'm going to watch you send that email. I'm going to watch you create that discount code. Yeah. And stuff gets done faster. I guess like what you're answering is really this discerning, it seems to be the word that's coming up between like the perpetual feeling of got to get this done, whether or not you like the task for something that needs to get done in your business versus that like sticky, ucky feeling of I don't want to do this anymore. Because I felt this in the world of PR. And there was things that I loved about the business. There's things I loved about the industry, but I'd say the majority of it I didn't like. And it finally just like it hit a wall. It's like I did not know how much I did not like this work because I felt like I had to do it. And what happens is the body keeps the score. So I would always get like stomach issues and like headaches and like 24-hour flus until I made the decision to release it. And I'm no longer doing that and I don't get sick. Knock on wood. Okay.
Isn't that wild how but isn't that wild? People will say, oh, it's just flu season. It's just this, or, oh, I got sick again. It's like, stop and pay attention. Like your body is speaking to you. There's symptomatic communication happening. And again, wouldn't it be nice if? And it's like, okay, if it's not PR, like what is the essence of the work that you want to do? And I still do this exercise with myself because I evolve as a person. And I'm like, do you still want to do this? Like if something's making you angry, resentful, numb, a lot of women in my world will be in corporate and they're like, I want to start a business. And I'm like, do you really? Do you really? Yeah. And I'm like, or do you want the quote unquote freedom you think flexibility is going to give you? Great. Well, number one, you're going to have to become a completely different person. But let's just slow down for a minute and then write out, wouldn't it be nice if, and know that some of those things you might be able to achieve immediately by having an uncomfortable conversation with someone and saying, can I take Fridays off? I will get everything done in 4 days instead of 5. Or
isn't it crazy
if I do
how
XYZ,
we think it's like an entire drastic life change when I say sometimes if you look at a course correction of 1% over time, actually you get into a completely different destination. 100%. And it's not like the whole thing. It's like, if you like your job in corporate, what about it don't you like? And like, can you work something out so that it's more enjoyable? Okay, I want to talk about like this. I know you're like, where I found you in my world was peak mom frustration season. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of guilt that comes in, especially for me, and I know with the listeners too, in running their business, and like the guilt in wanting to run the business and wanting to be away from the kids. Yeah. And like you coach women here. And these women are afraid, especially these women that are afraid of choosing themselves because that might make them a bad mom or a less ambitious leader. How do you work with them through that?
So I want to go back to a moment when I chose to shift my career. I think a lot of people will say, I need to work for the money. That's not always true because oftentimes I'll see when people get laid off and it's like, oh, like, okay, do you need another job? And it's like, no. And I'm like, interesting. So we're letting the universe kind of guide us instead of, again, taking ownership for how we want to feel. So it's actually fascinating to watch. Like I'm obsessed with human behavior. But there was a moment back in the day, I don't even remember how many kids I have. I have 3 boys now. And one of the babies was at home. And I remember choosing like, Heather, you are actively going to pursue your business. You were in social work, but you were going to pursue your business. Didn't know what it looked like. I remember the guilt that I had, not only the guilt that I had, but that nobody around me understood. I remember being severely judged by family and friends. I would also, because I looked like I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, air quotes, I was in between. I was on like a mat leave or just a break. People, Renee, would literally drop their children off at my house. Like I had a few women in my life that would be like, oh, you got nothing going on. And I remember feeling so angry and frustrated because when my son was napping, that's when I was like working on my thing. Yeah. And not only did I feel guilty, but then I felt guilty that I wasn't taking on their crap too and going, well, I'm a woman. This is what you do. You help each other out. Da, da, da. But deep down, number one, the reason why I was angry was because I wasn't feeding a part of myself that was craving my attention. And I just remember knowing, like paying attention to that little whisper. And I would play it out in my mind as well. Okay, you decide not to do this thing. This is something how I also test. I watch how my body reacts. You decide not to go after this dream or desire or business or whatever it is. Great. How does that feel? Does it feel like relief? Are you angry? Are you becoming resentful? Because if that is the truth, then go after it. It's in alignment for you versus you are doing this thing, you're hanging on for dear life or the opposite. So you let it go, you feel lighter, or you let it go and now you're angry and resentful. If you feel lighter, it wasn't meant for you. If you are now becoming angry and resentful that you're not doing that damn thing, it's your responsibility to go after it. And to me, my goal is to make sure that my children experience me from an energy that feels safe, that feels calm, that feels present, and that is not angry and resentful at my children. That's really my ultimate goal. And if that means I get quote unquote less physical time in their presence, I'll tell you right now, it's 100% quality versus quantity.
Oh, yes. Even though, so right now it's a busy season for us and we're homeschooling the kids. For the first few days, I worked from home.
Yeah.
And I said, I have like strict calls in these hours, but I go drop in if you have any questions. And we got to work on some stuff together and it was fun. And, you know, the last few days I haven't been home. And at the end of the day, they're so excited to see me, to tell me about their day. And it's just like total one-on-one, like eye contact, telling me about the stories they wrote and the things they did and the haircuts they got. It's actually really special.
Yeah.
And so they're not just there. We're not just like living in the same room, but we're alive together because we have these stories that we can share.
You know what I'm really curious about your experience of world schooling or like traveling? How you observe other cultures and family dynamics and the women in those cultures with their children. Because you'll see like such a spectrum of it. And I guarantee you North America is one of the most fucked up dynamics of like female oppression in the sense of the burden, the invisible load, not talking about different types of oppression, but like the expectation of women.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we were just in Italy and France, and the amount of men walking around with their children without the mother around blew my mind. The other day, 2 days ago, I was driving to the studio here, and I saw a man holding a 2-year-old daughter walking down the street, and I immediately scanned for where the mom was. I don't know why. It was like a subconscious thing. Yeah. And I stopped myself. I'm like, that was an odd sight for me to see in the middle of the day, a father with a daughter and no mom around. Mm-hmm. I don't know who they are, but it was just so odd to me. And I know this with other cultures, that the sole responsibility of raising kids doesn't land on just one person, which is like the most absurd thing that we're trying to break in our culture and society here.
We talk about the like losing the village and the sense of community. I'm not even going to engage because I'm going to screw up this paraphrasing. It was Trevor Noah talked about the more, again, I'm totally messing this up. The more developed a country becomes, the less community and village they have. And then you start paying for it. And so now we're paying for our village. We're paying for our community, where before that was built in.
Yeah, I'm paying for the house manager.
Yeah.
We love her though.
Yeah. But it's required in order, like the way, and we're getting there slowly. But it's just fascinating to me. And I've always wondered, because when I started my business, I was early 20s. I was like 23 when I joined my first $10,000 mastermind, but I was so determined because I became a mom at such a young age that I didn't want to fail. And I was always a rebel and an outside of the box thinker. And it's just fascinating to me to watch people who I'm like, why can't you do that? Why can't you afford that? Oh, we just money, economy, this. And I was like, but you go to Disney every single fucking year. You have 2 brand new cars. Like, you're dressed in Lulu from head to toe. And you're telling me you can't afford $100 to outsource grocery shopping or meal prep or something. You're just like hanging on for dear life. So where I get triggered the most is the stories that people hang on to, that they are just unwilling to let go. Even if you just say, wow, that makes me so scared and so uncomfortable to lean into that. That feels like an opening. That is more of an opening energy than I can't. Nobody will let me. I'm like, that is a recipe for disaster.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, speaking of recipes, it's nothing to do with recipes.
Would you like a recipe? Because
Would you
I am
like
not
it?
your person.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm good. I'm good. We have meal prep at
You'd
home.
be
I
like,
don't
I'm
cook.
not your person, Heather. I'm not your
Yeah, you
person
can
either.
send it. I'm gonna do anything with it though. I do bake though. But one last question for you. When I ask you what it means to be a wild woman, what is that for you?
I probably wouldn't look very wild. I would just say, it's so funny because I get very, in group settings, I'm pretty calm and observant. And I'm like, a wild woman is going to me, it means choosing yourself regardless of the situation and refusing not to self abandon. That to me is a wild woman. And
I
she
love
doesn't
that.
have to be super loud by doing that either.
No. Amen. So where can people go online to find you?
You can check me out at
Oh
Emotionally
yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Check her out, baby.
Check me out. The podcast, Emotionally Uncomfortable, book Dying to Be a Good Mother. I love when people listen to this episode and then send me a private message on Instagram. It's just my name, Heather Chauvin, Chauv as in Victor, IN. That's it. I got some free resources, all the things. Go follow.
And you are launching something. What's going on in your world this season?
Yeah, I'm like, Renee, what is the URL? Do you know what it is? I think I do.
I don't know, but it's going to be in the show notes.
Okay. I'm like, it's in the show notes. I think it's my name.com/Renee, but I always screw up URLs. Okay. So energetic time management, reverse engineering how you want to feel. I love teaching people how to reclaim their lives and buying back time, not really buying it back. It's more of like becoming self-aware of where you need to realign your attention and focus based on where you want to go and putting your soul back on the calendar. So I give you a 15-minute training, like step by step on how to do this with a 6-step process. And it's going to blow your mind. It's going to show you how I don't like time management. I love energy management and how you want to manage your energy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So I'm going to walk you step by step through that. So you can go to heatherchauvin.com/Renee.
Okay. Well, we'll for sure put the real link in the show notes. Heather?
Yeah. You'll go there and be like, it's not working.
It's Renee. Who's that babe? We'll make it work. We'll make it work. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Renee.